Hello, this is the Red Riot Robot, and this is Alphabetical Impressions. Today we're going to be covering a game by a studio that I have had a long love for ever since the first game they've put on Steam, and that is Team Ladybug. They have made a couple other Metroidvanias, the first being Touhou Luna Nights, I think I said that right, and Deedlit and Wonder Labyrinth, a sort of licensed game based on an old 80s anime, and both are really good. In fact, Touhou Luna Nights is probably one of my favorite Metroidvanias of all time, and Blade Chimera is their new game, and it's also their first game that they've ever made that's not a licensed game. It's a new IP, so let's get into it. This is very clearly Team Ladybug's continual attempt to recreate Symphony of the Night, and it seems like they're getting ever closer and closer to that. And I have no complaints because this, looks and feels good to play. It doesn't have the backdash, unfortunately, but still, it's a good game. I played around an hour and a half up to the first boss outside of the tutorial, and then getting back to the base. I'll get into that later. So I have a rough idea of kind of everything this game has to offer. The story is about a demon hunter named Shen who gets possessed, and I say possessed with quotation marks, with a phantom named Lux, who has the ability to do magic, and it takes the form of a ghost sword. It kind of seems like the story's going to be about the corruption of the organization that Shen is in, because there is a character who is mustache twirlingly evil that you meet after the first boss, but that's about all I can say about the story. Within that first hour and a half, not a lot kind of happens. We just kind of know Shen is a demon hunter, Lux is a phantom that possesses him, and there are some shady people in the organization Shen is a part of. Into the gameplay. The combat is pretty simple. I say simple. It's a 2-weapon system plus magic. You assign weapons to one of 2 buttons, the first button being X or square on a controller, and the second weapon is Y or triangle on a controller. And you have magic that is performed by Lux, and this takes a number of forms. A lot of them are offensive based. For example, you can throw out the ghost sword in front of you and it'll twirl in the air for as long as you hold the button, and then when you press it back, it'll come back to you. You can shove the sword into the ground as a shield and then wait because it starts charging the sword, and when it comes back to you, it shoots a wave of energy in the direction that you are from the sword being stuck in the ground. So it's like a slingshot, and you can use this to do insane amounts of damage. The type of weapons you get fit the time period, but are very similar to Symphony of the Night. You have your whip, you have a big sword, you have a light sword, ranged weapons, you do have shuriken. I haven't gotten a bow and arrow, but because this game is in modern-ish times, you have a bunch of guns. The guns work pretty good. They have clips, but the DPS is pretty good on them. Oh, you can also use the sword to climb. So the way you get magic back in this game is you hit enemies with regular attacks, and that'll charge up your magic meter. Now, if you take damage, the way to get health back is to use magic attacks and damage people with magic attacks. And so the combat system is really good. And so it encourages you to switch between the 2 fighting styles regularly, keeps you on your toes. Outside of that, it introduced a job system at the end of what I played. I didn't really do anything in it. It's very similar to Bloodstained Ritual of the Nights sort of thing. Visuals, as always with a Team Ladybug game, it looks amazing. They hit it out of the park every time, and they haven't missed here. And the soundtrack is alright. The soundtrack is good. I haven't heard anything that I'll remember, but it's good enough to where I know it's there, I guess, and it's not disturbing my enjoyment of the game. And that's it for this Alphabetical Impressions, I'm definitely going to be finishing this. It seems like it's going to be a really good game. I don't know if it's going to be a game that outdoes Touhou Luna Nights, because that was an exceptional game, like from the start. But I think this will be really good. And that's it. This is the Red Riot Robot, signing out.